Everyone, thank you for joining. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes for everyone else to join, okay? All right, guys, let's start. First of all, thank you so much for joining this. Uh, I was, very surprised by seeing the amount of people who had registered for it. It was 50 plus registrations. I hope some of them will be still able to make this. If not, I'll definitely plan to have another session tomorrow as well. But all those who could make it today, thank you so much for joining. Right, just a very small request. Please keep yourselves on mute throughout the session. We'll discuss the questions towards the end of the session, but I'll ask you to, use the chat option in between. so that we can make sure you're aligned to what I am speaking or what I'm trying to make you understand. So we'll use a chat option in between for that, but I'll request you all to please keep yourselves on mute only. And towards the end of the session is when we discuss the questions. I have a very bad reputation of extending the session, so please don't be surprised if this goes beyond 8, right? And I'll try to finish it before it, at least the slides part of it. And if anyone wants to leave after that, please feel free to. But if anyone has any questions, that we can discuss after that as well. All right. Okay, some people are still joining. Okay, I'll just continue. Okay, I'll get distracted by by this beep tone in between, but I'll continue anyhow. All right. Uh, so I'm hoping that all of you who have joined today, they somehow know me either directly or indirectly. But let me just quickly introduce myself first. I'm Ankur Vasdev. I'm currently 27 years of age. Currently, I'm in Jalandhar, Punjab, which is my hometown, due to this work from home scenario. Professionally, I'm an associate consultant at a consulting firm called GS Associates. I see some of my colleagues have joined this as well, so good to see them. Uh, from fitness point of view, I'm an INFS scholar. Like Institute of Nutrition and Fitness Sciences. I've completed a couple of courses from there. I'm yet to receive my official certification, but have completed the courses. Uh, and the last part, which I want to focus more upon, I think some of my friends, who have known me in school life, they might already know this, but I have been in the overweight category or in the obese category for most of my life. I used to be over 100 kgs at one point of time in my life, and now I think I can still say that I'm far better than that. I'm far fitter than that, right? This is how I not currently look like. This is how I looked like a few months ago, but you can say this is how I currently look like. All right. And the reason today I'm trying to take this session is because since I have seen all those obstacles, I have seen that journey from being unhealthy or from being fat to being a bit fitter. I would say I still don't call myself fit, but I have seen all those obstacles. I have seen I have done all sorts of mistakes that you can even imagine about. I have done everything wrong that one should not be doing, right? And the only reason I have been a part of this initiative is just to make sure that the mistakes that I have made in my past, I don't want anyone else to repeat those mistakes. Especially if someone is starting with the journey, it becomes a bit tricky. It becomes difficult to start when there is so much of knowledge available on the internet, but you just don't know where to focus. So that is where I want to contribute a bit from my end to make sure that you are not repeating the same mistakes that I had made in my journey. And I'll be taking this session mostly in English, but I might use Hindi in between, just to make sure I'm, giving right examples and to make sure you're understanding perfectly as well. If anyone, has any issue in understanding either of the languages, now is the time to please let me know in the chat box if you want me to stick just to one language, or else I'll just try to mix both of them to, make sure you understand the concepts clearly. I'll just, pause for a moment and I'll just see the chat box if everyone's comfortable. So there are 12 participants, so everyone can type. We'll just take a moment. Okay, okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. Shanti Kapoor. Okay. I'll try to, use English most of the time. If you have any doubts in between where you're not able to understand anything, just just type in the chat box, or I'll even after a couple of slides, I'll ask for questions. I'll ask if you're aligned with what I have said so far. That will be the time you just let me know if there's any issue. Okay, guys. Moving on. Right. So basically, we'll be covering, on a very high level, we'll be covering these topics today. We'll discuss what is the importance of fitness. I know most of us understand that fitness is important, but it'll just be a recap because sometimes we just like to hear this from someone else, right? We'll be discussing the basics of nutrition, right? We'll be discussing how we can design our own diet plans and how we can design our own training plan. And the last section is the most interesting one, at least from my end, because there are so many myths currently, in the fitness industry that I actually want to debunk. I actually want to make sure that you people understand what is right and what is wrong. So that will be the last section there as well. Okay, moving on. Again, as I said, I think all of us understand why we need to be fit, but still, it's always good to have, it's always good to have someone else, tell you these things again and again, that why we need to be fit, just to have that external factor of motivation. So these are some of the factors that you should be concentrating on your fitness. This is not an exhaustive list at all, but just some of the major factors that you should be looking at it. If you are if you are fit, there are lesser chances of some lifestyle disorders, certain disorders like obesity, even diabetes, PCOD, PCOS, and even thyroids, right? These can be a result of your bad lifestyle as well. I'm not saying that is the only reason it happens. Yes, a lot of other factors play that role, but lifestyle choices is one of the factors that can kind of result in these lifestyle disorders. So to make sure you try to remain away from these as much as possible, that is why you should try to be fit in your life. You perform better in your daily tasks and activities, right? Like fitness is not about having those six pack abs, having that muscular body. Yes, that is one aspect of it for some people, for certain section of the population, but that is not fitness is all limited about, right? Fitness is basically to make sure that you are fit for what you're doing currently. You're fit to do the work that you're doing in your household. You have the daily activities to take care of. For example, for a mother, you have for a new mother, you have to take care of the kids, you have to play with them. But at the end of the day, if you are very exerted and you don't have energy left at all, to spend upon yourself, that is not the kind of life you want to lead. We want to be energetic. We want to be, we want to be fit to do that particular job that we are doing, right? It can improve your confidence and mood, right? We have seen, we have definitely sorry, please, can you keep yourself on mute? Pankaj, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. All right. So definitely there is an improvement in confidence and mood when you are fit, right? There is a chance of improved mental health. We talk a lot about mental health these days, and we have started realizing the importance of it. Again, I'm not claiming that physical fitness can result in bettering your mental health, but it has the potential to help you there as well. When you exercise, when you are working out, there are certain hormones that are released in your body. We call them like the feel good hormones. I won't get into technicalities, but that can actually help you with your mental health as well. Again, I'm not saying it's curing your mental health or it's curing your the like if you have any mental disabilities, or if you are suffering from some issues with mental health, it won't cure it as such, but it definitely can be a good supplement for that. Okay, and basically we are doing all this just to make sure that we are able to lead a better quality of life. And all of you who have joined today, I'm assuming that you have at least you have taken the first step to and decided that I need to do something. I need to change something about what's happening currently, or maybe I'm already into it, I just want to know more about it, right? So okay, so when you start a fitness journey, right, there are a few things, very basic principles which we need to focus upon. We don't need to complicate everything. There are very basic principles, very basic things, basic factors that we need to concentrate upon. It includes your nutrition, basically what you are eating. You have to take care of what you are eating, how much you are eating. You have to exercise. We all understand what are the benefits of exercise, right? Focus on your sleep, focus on your hydration, basically drink enough fluids and water throughout the day, and try to be active, right? Just try to be a bit more active throughout the day. Maybe go for a walk, taking calls while walking. uh, so even kind of helping your mom in the kitchen, or doing something on your own in the kitchen, doing some household chores, right? All that comes under activity levels. But for today's session, our main focus will be on the nutrition and exercise part. Rest of it is, I think, already pretty clear that we need to sleep enough, right? We need to drink enough water, and we need to be active through other things. So that's about it. But for today's session, for today's discussion, we'll be focusing upon nutrition and diet and the exercise aspect of it. All right. So before we even deep dive into some principles of how to design your diet, how much you need to eat, all those questions, let's first understand the very basics of nutrition, right? And the very first one that I want to focus upon today is, whenever we hear the word diet, the word diet has become such a negative term on the internet that whenever we hear the word diet, right, we think that this basically means that we have to eat less. That has become the notion of the word diet currently. But if you look at the definition of diet, diet is nothing but it's just basically is a sum of whatever we are eating throughout the day. And even if it is originated from a Greek word which basically means a way of life, so it's not a negative word. It's just dieting word has become very negative in the fitness industry. But overall, the definition of diet is very simple. Diet is just the sum of everything we are consuming throughout the day, nothing else. So whenever you hear the word diet, don't be disappointed. Don't think very negatively about it. Just remember, diet is whatever you are eating. Okay. Then there are some technical terms that we'll understand first before we jump onto the part of how to design that diet plan. I'll explain these with some examples if possible. Right. The very first thing is your BMR. So BMR is basically your basic metabolic rate or basal metabolic rate. Now, what does that mean? Imagine, you're not doing anything throughout the day. You're just lying down, not even using your phone, not doing anything else. There are still certain functions that your body is performing. You're breathing throughout the day. Your heart is pumping blood throughout the day. All your organs, all your systems are working. Your kidneys are working. Your liver is working. Your lungs are working. Your brain is working throughout the day, right? So it requires energy for all these organs to function as well. So even if you're not doing anything else, there will be certain minimum amount of energy that your body will be spending, right? And that minimum amount of energy is what we call the basic metabolic rate. All right. Then the next term is TDEE, or we call it TEE as well. That basically means the total daily energy expenditure or total energy expenditure, which basically in very simple terms, it means that the amount of energy that you're spending throughout the day. Now this energy can be is basically a combination of your BMR, the minimum amount of energy your body is spending just to make sure the essential functions are in place. Plus there are some other factors that we'll discuss that are mentioned below. The combination of all this, simply the overall energy that we are spending throughout the day is what we call TDEE. Now this BMR and TDEE come in very handy when we jump into the maths part of it, or when we try to calculate the calories or and everything. That is where it will become handy. But then now I hope you have understood that TD is like a combination of BMR plus the other factors which we'll be discussing. One of that factor is TEF. Now TEF is thermogenic effect of food. In very simple terms, it basically means that whatever food we are eating, right, our body has to use some amount of energy to digest that food and make sure that the final product is available for the body to absorb. Okay, so there is some amount of energy that is required to process the food, break it down into smaller molecules, and finally break it down in such smaller components that your body is able to absorb. So that energy which is required to do all that processing is called the thermogenic effect of food, and it can vary based on what kind of food you're eating, how much food you're eating. All right. Then comes the EAT. The word EAT can be a bit confusing. It basically means exercise activity thermogenesis, or we can just call it PA, which is called physical activity. Again, you don't remember the names as such, but it's good to understand what they are, right? It just means that if we are doing a physical activity in a day, right? For example, I work out like let's say 6 days a week, okay? So the amount of energy I'm spending in that particular workout session, that is the PA. All right. Then the other component is called NEAT. We call it non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So basically, apart from just the dedicated, let's say the 1.5 hour of physical activity we are doing, there'll be amount of energy that will be required to do all other things, like all other things throughout the day as well. For example, currently I'm taking this session, right? I'm speaking currently. I'm moving my hands. All this also requires energy. I'm doing so many things throughout the day. Let's say I'm cooking my own food. I'm doing certain household works. So all that requires energy, and that is what comes under NEAT. And if some of you, if you have already started your journey, or you want to learn more about it, or you already read about certain things, you must have heard that this word NEAT is very common word these days. Everyone tries to say increase your NEAT, which in simple terms basically means just try to be a bit more active throughout the day. So the entire energy, apart from that one hour or 1.5 hour of that workout session you're doing, whatever energy you're spending throughout the day, apart from that, in other activities, right, which you're not actually doing intentionally, that is referred to as NEAT. Okay. Then whatever we eat is basically divided into two broad categories. One is macronutrients. Macronutrients basically means all the nutrients that we consume in larger quantities. That is macro, and nutrient. It's nutrient is nutrient, right? So all the nutrients you're consuming in very large quantities, that we call macronutrients. When we talk about carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, these are macronutrients. And micronutrients are all the nutrients which we're consuming in very smaller quantities. So vitamins and minerals are your micronutrients. Okay. While we design our diet, or while we take care of what we eat, we also have to take care of the micronutrient component there as well. Okay. Then the last part is calorie. So what exactly is a calorie, right? Now I talked about different types of energies we're spending throughout the day, correct? So calorie is nothing. Calorie is just a unit of energy, right? This is how we define food. When we define the energy contained within a food, that is how we define it. It's just a unit of energy. Okay. And when we say one food calorie, in actual physics terms, that is actually 1,000 calories or 1 kilocalorie. But that doesn't really matter to us, right? But it's good to know this fact as well, that one food calorie is actually 1 kilocalorie. We just call it calorie with a capital C, right? So that basically means a food calorie. Some basic numbers which will come in handy. One, like each gram of carbohydrate that we consume, it contains 4 calories. Each gram of protein we consume contains 4 calories. Each gram of fat we consume contains 9 calories. Apart from that, water is the magic supplement that you're looking for to just be a bit more healthy is water. It doesn't provide you any energy, but it has a lot of essential function it does in your body. Fiber is one thing which is a type of carbohydrate, but it is that type of carbohydrate which your body cannot break down for energy. Okay, so that is why I have written here it's approximately 0 calories. Some types of fibers can be consumed by the body or can be digested by the body, but most of the types of fibers cannot be broken down by the body and used for energy. It just goes in the body and it goes out. It helps in a lot of functions, but it doesn't provide any energy as such, which is not a bad thing at all because it has a lot of essential functions as well. But this is good to know that fiber does not really provide any energy, or it does not have any calories as such. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram. Alcohol is a separate macronutrient in itself. Alcohol is not carbohydrate. Alcohol is not fat. Alcohol is not protein. Alcohol is a separate macronutrient, which is definitely not at all essential, but it has a certain amount of calories as well. So each gram of alcohol has around 7 calories. That doesn't mean that each gram of that drink has 7 calories, because there is a volume by volume ratio in drinks as well, right? So each gram of alcohol has 7 calories. I'll pause here for a bit. I think this was maybe this might have been too much information for some people to digest, and I have a habit of speaking too fast as well. So if you guys have any questions, I'll pause for a moment. Please drop them in the chat box. I'll be looking at the chat box now. Can you explain thermogenesis again? Okay. Yes, see, thermogenesis. Let's not get into technicalities there. Just just kind of try to think of it as, how should I say? So there is certain amount of energy that is linked to every type of activity we do. Even if we are eating something, even though food is providing us energy, our body will require some amount of energy to break down that food. Let's say मैंने खाना खाया, right? I start chewing the food. Chewing the food requires some amount of energy, right? Then all the organs from your mouth, it goes to the esophagus. From the esophagus, it goes to the stomach, and then throughout the digestive system. So even in your esophagus, right, there's a process that happens called peristalsis, which is basically the muscles of that tract are doing their work. They're contracting, expanding. They're doing their work to make sure the food is becoming digestible. So there is energy involved there as well. So that is how we link food and energy together, and that is how we link thermogenesis there. I hope that was clear, Vinay. Vivek. Okay. Difference between macro and micronutrients. Vivek, it's very, very simple. Macronutrient is basically all the nutrients which we consume in larger quantities, like carbohydrates, like fats, like proteins. Right? We measure them in grams. Like we do not measure them in less than grams. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. So let's say, for example, the amount of magnesium that is going inside my body, the amount of iron which is going inside of my body. If you know, kind of check on the internet, you know, what is the RDA of these micronutrients, it's very minute, right? It's like, you know, 0.1 gram per day, 1000 mg per day, something like that. So all the nutrients that we eat in smaller quantities that we call micronutrients. And just to remember, vitamins and minerals are your micronutrients, and the food we're actually eating and seeing, that is your, you know, macronutrients. Okay. Anything else? Vivek, was that clear? Can you please confirm? All right. Any other question, guys? I'll pause for a moment, then we'll go to the next slide. Does someone joined right now? Okay, I'm assuming everyone is on board. Can you just comment yes if you're aligned so far, if you understood so far? All right. Thank you. All right, I'm closing the chat box now. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vinay. All right, let's move ahead. I've already have a sense that this is going to be like this will go beyond 8 o'clock, so I'm sorry in advance. All right. Now let's talk. Now we understood the basic concepts, and we understood some of the basic terminologies in the previous slide. Now we'll understand the very basics of how you can start designing your own diet plan. Again, as I mentioned in the email, right? The purpose of the session is not to design a plan for you. I'm not going to do that for you. But the purpose is to make sure that you know you have at least enough information, enough knowledge that can help you start doing this on your own. Okay. So now these are the basic steps that we generally follow whenever we design a diet plan. We will discuss them in detail in the next slide as well. I'll just go through them like I'll just provide a very high level overview once, and then we'll discuss the details. We understood what is your BMR and what is your TDEE, right? Now, if you have understood the terms, by now you must have understood that BMR is like the minimum amount of energy you have to provide your body to make sure it's carrying out the essential functions, right? And TDEE is basically the maximum amount of energy that you actually need. Now, this is the energy you're spending. Okay, and always remember that these numbers, even though you can get these numbers from all the different calculators that are present online, right? If you even you just type on Google, right, BMR calculator or TDE calculator, you'll get so many of different websites where you can calculate these numbers. But always remember that these numbers will never be accurate. These numbers will give you a general sense based on your body weight and your height, that you know how your how much body how much energy your body needs every day. But again, we need to understand that this is biology we're talking about, right? Our body is not pure maths. It's not, you know, pure numbers. So it can vary between individuals, right? Some people might have certain genetic conditions, right? Some, you know, some people might have some hormonal imbalance which can uh, which can result in changing these numbers as well. This is a good reference point for sure, but you always need to make sure that, you know, whenever actually you're actually designing a diet plan, you do not just stick to the numbers. You take a number, right? Try to apply that on yourself, and based on your progress, you change it. I'll talk more about it in the next slide, so don't worry about it. But for now, I think we have understood that BMR is the minimum amount of calories. TDEE is the maximum amount of calories that the body is burning. Okay. Now let's understand simple energy balance here, right? So whenever, let's say, you want to lose weight or you want to lose fat, you would want to eat somewhere in between BMR and TDEE. Now, why we won't be eating less than BMR? This is because BMR is the minimum amount of energy that your body needs to perform all the essential functions. So going below your BMR is not an ideal thing to do. And this is where all the crash diets, right, which we see on the internet, detox diets and everything, this is where these diets fail. They put you in such a low calorie that your body is not, you know, your body has, it just goes into a defensive mode. That is the problem with these, you know, crash diets or these detox diets. So you have to understand this is the minimum amount of calories or minimum amount of energy you need to consume through food. And if you want to lose fat, right, you have to eat somewhere between these two values. Because the TDE is basically your maintenance, right? This is the amount of calories. If you consume the same amount of calories which you're burning throughout the day, you'll maintain your weight. If you want to lose weight, you have to eat less than that. If you want to gain weight, you have to eat more than that. So this is the simple rule of energy balance. Okay. So once you've calculated these numbers, right, even references are fine to start with. Once you've calculated these numbers, then you define your goal, right? Not everyone has the same goal. Someone wants to lose fat or weight, someone, gain weight or gain muscle. You define your goal next. After that, based on your goals, you set up how many calories you need. We'll talk about how to set that up as well. Once you have set up your caloric requirements, then there are certain macronutrients we need to focus upon. Once your calories are set, right, that, let's say, for example, I calculated my BMR, I calculated my TDEE. Let's say my BMR was, somewhere around 1600. My TDEE was somewhere around 2500. Now I know that I had to eat somewhere in between to lose fat. Let's say I chose a value of 2000 calories. Okay. Now once I have set my calorie limit, then we start focusing upon the macronutrient distribution. We first of all start focusing on protein. Okay. Then we focus on minimum fat requirements, because unlike protein and carb, our bodies can still survive without protein. Our bodies can still survive without carbs. That's not ideal, definitely, but fat is something that our bodies cannot survive without. Okay, so you have to make sure that we are setting up the minimum fat requirements in our diet as well. Then we set up minimum fiber requirements. Even though they don't provide any energy, fiber is very essential for the body in many other functions. Okay, and then whatever rest of the calories are left, that we divide into fats or into carbs as per our personal preference. Again, this is a very high level slide. We'll be discussing this in detail in the next slide. But I'll just pause it for a moment. I think there are some questions. I'll just see. Yes, Mrunmay. TDE is your maintenance. TDE is total daily energy expenditure. So basically, the amount of calories or amount of energy your body is burning throughout the day, that is your maintenance. If you eat same as what you're burning, you'll maintain your weight, and that is why we call it maintenance calories. Vinay, should BMR be equal to? No, no, no. Vinay, BMR is the basic metabolic rate. That is the bare minimum your body needs to perform its essential functions. TDE is essential functions, but plus everything else, plus your exercises, plus whatever you're burning throughout the day, right? So it's not same. I hope you got the point. Can you confirm, please, Vinay? All right. All right. We'll move ahead. People are leaving. Are you guys getting bored or something? Please let me know. All right. 1 second. Thank you, Mrunmay. At least someone is interested. Okay. Amreen, so when I'm designing my diet, should it be between TD? Absolutely correct. If you are designing a diet for fat loss, your calories have to be between BMR and TDE. Absolutely. That's correct. And that is where many people get confused. They start eating below BMR, and that is not good for health, right? Because we are trying to lose that extra pounds of fat to get healthier, right? We don't want to become unhealthy at the end of the day. That's absolutely right, what you said. Okay, okay, another question. Yes, I mean, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how much of deficit is, is a good number. That's on the next slide. Okay. All right. I'll check rest of the questions after this slide. Okay. All right. Now we understood the basic terms. We understood, what is a calorie. On an average, how many calories we need. How do we need to define a diet plan? Now let's talk about some specific numbers. Okay. First of all, let's say your goal is fat loss, right? So let's say you have counted your TDE, you've counted your BMR and everything. Now your TDE is set, your maintenance calories are set. You know how much you need to eat to maintain your current body weight. If you want to lose weight, you'll have to eat less than that. Now, how less is fine, right? So this is where these numbers come in handy. Now, if I want to lose fat, I would ideally want to eat somewhere between, like somewhere around 10 to 20% less than my TDEE. Let's say my maintenance calories are around 2000. Okay. Now, 10% 2000 is 200, 20% is 1600. So somewhere between 1600 and 1800 would be a good place to start. Okay. And if your maintenance is around 2000, your BMR might be around 1400, 1500, depending upon your overall activity levels as well. But once you've calculated that maintenance, you subtract around 10 to 20% there. Again, 20% I would call that the maximum deficit. 10% would be like the minimum. See, at the end of the day, we want results as well. So what if we set our calorie requirements at, let's say, if it was 2000 calories maintenance, what if I'm eating at 1950? Just a deficit of 50 calories. First thing, that our body is smart enough to, understand very small deficits. So it will kind of adapt to it very early. And second thing is, we want results as well. It's so let's say I'm saying that I've been dieting for a month, but there is not even a single, gram of weight that I've lost, or even a single inch of weight, fat that I've lost from my body. That is something that will not drive us, correct? So we want to be in a certain range where I'm not eating very less, but at the same time we do understand, right, that there'll be there we will have to eat less than maintenance ultimately to lose fat. So somewhere in this range, where we have a deficit of around 10 to 20% is a good point to start with. Okay, now once we have calculated the calories we need, that is when we jump to protein. So this is the there's a reason I have mentioned minimum amount of protein in the bracket, because this is the minimum amount you should be consuming. I'll talk about like the other facts in the later slide. But even if you're consuming more than this, that is completely fine, right? For a sedentary person who somehow cannot exercise, right? Let's say an elderly person, if you want to help someone in your family who just cannot exercise too much, and if it's sedentary, still I recommend that your protein intake is at least close to 1 gram per kg of body weight. So I've mentioned here LBM. LBM is nothing but lean body mass. But let's not just complicate anything here. Just consider your body weight here. So let's say if someone is 100 kgs, right? Right. So for a person who is sedentary, who is not exercising at all, right? For them, we still want to hit that 1 gram per kg of body weight of protein, and even the RDA recommends zero point 0.8 gram of protein per body weight. So RDA is like the bare minimum you need to consume. Okay, so but I generally prefer and I generally recommend people to at least hit the 1 gram mark, even if you're not working out. Okay, because protein, apart from just helping build your muscles, protein has a tons of other benefits. Okay, so make sure you're hitting this minimum amount there. If you're an endurance athlete, you're not into weightlifting, you're into different kinds of workout. Let's say you're into cycling, you're into running. Even if you're doing these cardiovascular exercises, or you just nowadays what happens is, all these apps like CureFit and everything, right? They have all these sessions that happen. So that also kind of comes under endurance training. Okay, so even if you're an endurance trainer, you still need to consume minimum amount around 1.3 to 1.6 gram of protein per kg of body weight. If you're a strength athlete, or if you're working out regularly, you're doing resistance training, or you're going to the gym regularly, that is when your protein requirements actually increase, because you're damaging your muscle fibers, and to repair those muscle fibers, you'll require more protein in your diet. And the number we try to hit there is around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight. Okay. Once we have set the protein, then again, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the next most important macronutrient, even more important than protein for our essential functioning. But because we're talking about fitness goals, that's why I was focusing on protein first. But even to make sure that all your important functions of the body are getting performed, you need minimum amount of fats, because fats help you absorb all the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. So fats, dietary fats help in absorbing those vitamins, and also fats are responsible for functioning of certain hormones in your body. And actually, fats actually make up most of the structure of the body, right? They're protecting the organs. Fats, they're forming a cell membranes are made out of fat, so you need minimum amount of fat, and that minimum amount is 0.6 gram per kg of body weight. So any diet you design, you make sure that you do not ignore the fat aspects. Okay, once you have fixed the fats, then another important component is fiber. According to American Association, you have to consume around 25 to 30 gram of fiber per day. This need can again vary between individuals, right? If you're currently having only, let's say, 10 gram of fiber, not including a lot of veggies, a lot of grains in your diet, I won't recommend you to shoot it up to 25 directly, but try to attain that target slowly and slowly. Okay, so 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day is a good enough number to hit, because fiber is essential to make sure you're not constipated. It adds bulk to your stool, it helps in better excretion. So fiber is essential, and this is the number you can try to target. And whatever calories are remaining after we have defined all the essential nutrients, The rest of the calories can come from carbohydrates, or if you are someone who prefers fats over carbohydrates, let's say someone really loves oil, someone really loves butter or dairy products, which also come, with certain amount of fats, then it's not necessary to divide have the rest of the calories just from carbohydrates. You can have these calories from fats as well. It is completely lifestyle dependent. It's completely dependent on how you will be able to sustain that diet. Okay. I'll cover the right section, and then I'll pause for questions there. Okay. Now this was around fat loss. Now let's say we are talking about muscle gain. Not everyone wants to lose fat, right? Someone wants to gain weight as well. When we say gain weight, ideally we want to gain some muscle mass. We don't want to gain more layers of fat on our body. When we're doing for muscle gain, the only thing that changes is your calorie requirement. Now, because you want to gain something, obviously you'll be eating more than your maintenance. And a good number is you add around 200, 300 of calories around your maintenance. And that is a good point to start with. Okay. And at the same time, you have to make sure you're working out as well, because if you're just eating more, but not, kind of using your muscles or, using your body parts in exercising, you'll end up gaining more fat than just muscles. And that is not what we want. We want to make sure our body composition is improving over time. Okay. Rest of the things remain the same. The distribution remain the same. Carbs and fats again come to personal preference at the end of the day. One thing that I want to talk about here is the protein requirements. So see, when you're trying to put on weight, right, you actually do not need that much amount of protein as compared to when you're trying to lose weight. This might, surprise some of you people, because, I have heard a lot of people saying that, I don't want to build muscles. I just want to lose fat. I don't need protein. That is not the case. Because when you're dividing your body of calories, right, at the end of the day, your body really won't like you for, having a bit lesser amount of food. Your body will try to fight it back. Okay. When you're already providing your body with lesser number of calories, right, and obviously some of the your carb content will also be less as compared to what you were eating before. So carbs are a source of energy. When your body is in a deficit state, sometimes what it can do is it can start consuming the protein that you're taking in. It can start using that protein for energy as well. And this is the reason that the protein requirements in a deficit state are actually more than when you're trying to gain muscles. So when you're trying to gain muscles, right, you're already in a surplus state. You're eating more calories, you're eating more food. Your body is more than happy with what you're doing currently. So the protein requirements, are actually a bit lower. You can still target the same numbers, but even if you're not able to do that while you're trying to bulk, it's completely fine, because you won't lose muscles as long as you're having the minimum amount of protein and you're doing good amount of workout. Okay. I'll pause here and I'll, check for questions in the chat box. Okay. 1 second. Shanti, body weight exercise, strength training. See, even if it's body weight exercise or you're working out at the gym, at the end of the day, you're doing some amount of resistance training, right? Now, how much weight you are lifting, that is subjective, right? If someone's lifting 100 kgs and if you're lifting 20 kgs, that is still fine, because you're lifting relative to your body weight, relative to your strength levels. So you don't need to complicate this at all. Even if you're doing workouts at home, even if you're doing strength training at the gym, you can keep your protein levels high. Try to target that 1.6 to 2.2 gram range. Okay. Yes, Aman. I'll be sharing the slides. If I'm planning to take another session tomorrow, I'll be sharing by tomorrow end of day. If I'll not be able to, take the session tomorrow, then I'll be sharing it today itself. But most probably I'll share by today, by tomorrow end of day. Okay, Vinay. If my TD is 2200 and I am in fat loss, my calorie should be. Yes, Vinay, if your TD is, let's say, 2200, right? So your 10% is 220, your 20% is 440, right? So let's just approximate it and subtract around 400 calories. Then yes, this is a very good number to target. 1800, 1900 calories is a good number to target, definitely. And again, as I told, right, these calculators will give you only a reference point. You start with these amount of calories, you measure your progress over a couple of weeks, and if you think you're not progressing at all, because see, you cannot judge the impact in just a week or so. So wait for a couple of weeks, measure the progress. If you think there is no change at all, then drop it further, because maybe your body has certain conditions that it is trying to fight the weight change, and maybe the BMR is a bit lesser than what we had expected earlier. And if you're losing a lot of weight initially, then you might want to bump up the calories as well, because maybe your maintenance calories that the calculator told you was not correct. Your actual calories are more because you're an active person. If one is very active, only want to lose stubborn torso fat, should they go for fat loss or muscle gain? Do strengthening, what is more lean mass? See, Runai, what happens is this might become a bit technical. Runai, is it fine if we take that question at the end of the session? If you're like ready to wait for that, thank you. Okay, this is very good question actually, but we'll discuss this towards the end of the session. Is there a max limit of fat consumption? Not really, Vivek, but there's only one guideline that I would like to recommend. You can actually go up to 30% of overall calories from fat, 35%. But one thing that I generally recommend, even though there's not a lot of research is supporting it, but still, see, fats are of two kinds. I think you might know this. We have saturated fats and we have unsaturated fats. If you want to limit the upper limit of fat consumption, unless you want to try keto, ideally you should not try keto. Not worth it, because we Indians are, we are used to eating a lot of carbs, so keto and all are not worth it. So the maximum amount of saturated fats, try to limit it to around 10% of your total calories. Okay, that is the only thing I would recommend. Apart from that, it's again up to your personal preference. If you don't like carb, you don't like chapati, you don't like rice and everything, you can have a high fat diet. That's completely fine. It's calories. Vinay, 200, 300 is your maintenance calories plus add a couple of hundred calories on top of it, because you want to gain weight, right? So you'll have to eat more than your maintenance. Does these values change for PCOD condition? Amri, this is a specific question. Again, if we have time towards the end of the session, I'll definitely try to answer this. But for now, let's focus on the general things. We can take it offline as well, if that is fine. Okay. Easiest way to measure TDE. Yes, easiest thing. Do two things. Go to an online calculator, measure your TDEE. Okay. Eat those many amount of calories consistently for a couple of weeks, right? If you're still maintaining weight, that basically means whatever you had calculated was correct. If you're not maintaining weight there, if you're losing weight, basically it means that your maintenance was higher, so you need to bump up the calories. If you're gaining weight, it basically means that the calculator has given you a higher estimate, you need to drop down the calories a bit. So no calculator can tell you the exact number. It has to happen to trial and error only. And whenever you're starting your journey, don't rush for it. Spend the first few weeks just to make sure you are understanding how much or what you need to eat. Okay, all right. Are we good so far? Any other question, guys? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move ahead then. Okay, so now these are some of the important points that we. Yes, good. Okay, thank you, Shita. These are some of the important points that we need to keep a note of when we're designing our diet plans, right? One thing is that even though alcohol is not a carbohydrate, alcohol is not a fat, it's not a protein, so it's not an essential macronutrient, or it's not an essential nutrient that we need, but it does provide us calories. Okay, so whenever, even if you want to have alcohol, just be a bit mindful. Remember that it has a lot of calories in it. So 1 gram of alcohol has 7 calories. It's not essential, but I'm at the same time, I'm not saying that stop drinking alcohol altogether. I myself drink alcohol occasionally, so it would not be right on my part to say just stop, quit it altogether. If you like it, once in a while, definitely fine. But don't indulge into it. Just try to be a bit mindful. And honestly, when it comes to alcohol, right, at the end of the day, now since you've understood the concept of energy balance, right, if the next time you drink, just notice the amount of food you're eating with your alcohol, right? It's not just about the couple of bags of whiskey or that 100 ml or 150 ml of whiskey that we're drinking. It's actually the amount of food that is accompanied with that alcohol that actually makes us gain a lot of fat, right? So be a bit mindful there as well, and especially this, the chakna we eat a lot of peanuts and everything. All these nuts are very high in calories, so you end up consuming a lot more calories than your body needs to maintain that weight, right? So that is actually the main reason you end up gaining a lot of weight after drinking alcohol, because we eat a lot as well along with our social gatherings and all. Okay, and as I said, fat is the most essential macronutrient. Carbs are not essential to survive. Protein is not essential to survive, but fats are essential to survive. You cannot survive without fats. So make sure you're not compensating on the minimum amount of fat that is needed in the diet. Okay, and yes, so when I said for the protein intake ranges, right? So that was like the minimum amount of protein that you should keep there. But there have been researches that have proven that protein intake of up to 4 gram per kg of body weight is also completely safe to consume. So research studies have not been done beyond that, but there are a lot of myths or lots of questions in our mind when it comes to protein consumption. यार कि मैं जब protein खाऊंगा ना मेरे kidneys खराब हो जाएंगे. There is nothing like that unless you have a specific condition. Unless your kidneys are already not functioning properly, you have no reason to worry about protein intake. It's only when someone's kidney is already having a certain amount of problem, that is where protein digestion becomes a bit difficult. Because see, at the end of the day, it requires more work from the body and especially from your kidney to digest the protein. But your healthy kidneys can do that job. They don't have any problem in consuming that protein. Only if your kidneys are not healthy initially, that is when you should be a bit mindful and don't drastically increase your protein intake. Be a bit careful there. Otherwise, you don't need to worry. You can go up to 2-3 grams as well. Even currently, I'm at around 70-71 kg of body weight. My protein intake sometimes go to like 150-160. So that is completely fine. Even in long term, I have been eating like huge amounts of protein in long term as well. That is completely fine. Just drink a lot of water, eat a lot of veggies to make sure your fiber intake is on point. Nothing else you need to worry about. Okay. We discussed this point where we said that the protein requirements during the gaining phase is actually lesser than the protein requirement during when we're trying to lose fat. So keep that in mind. It might be new information for some people and might be surprising as well, but this is how it works. Okay, after setting up your protein and fat, rest of the calories can be divided into carbs and fats as per personal preference. Because at the end of the day, when we're designing a diet plan, right, we want to make sure that it's a plan which you're able to adhere. It is a plan that you're able to sustain for a long term. There is no point, including more fats in your diet if you are a carb lover. If you love rice, you love your chapatis, you love your rice, you love your grains and everything. There is no point of including more fats just for the sake of it. And at the same time, if you're someone who doesn't like carbs, right, and who thinks fats will make you fats, no. If you understand the concept of energy balance, you can choose whatever between fats and carbs. There have been a lot of studies that have been done on this topic as well, and no diet has been considered superior to anyone else when it comes to your fitness goals. Okay. All right. Then carbohydrate is a non-essential macronutrient. As I said, it's not essential. You can survive without carbohydrates. That is why so many people do keto and they still survive. They don't die after doing keto, right? So you can survive on that, but including carbs is actually a good thing for you because at the end of the day, your body's main source of energy is still carbohydrates, right? It will prefer having carbohydrates in your body to use it for any energy production. If it's not there, it'll switch to fats and it might use certain proteins as well for energy, but the first preference will always remain carbohydrates, and it can actually help you improve your mood as well. It can help you improve your performance. It might help you in better sleep at night as well. So if someone tells you that you should not eat carbs at night, just stop listening to them, or listen to them and say okay, but don't bother about following that thing, because carbs can help certain people in helping in helping improving the sleep quality at night as well. So if you understand, and again, if you understand the concept of energy balance, you don't have to worry about a lot about the nutrient timing and everything. Okay, just enjoy your meals. Make sure your meals are sustainable, so don't worry about the timing and everything. And another thing is, which I just want to repeat, for fiber and protein, even though we have initial ranges where which you want to target when it comes to the minimum amount of fiber and protein intake, at the same time, first of all, understand how much you are currently consuming. So if you're currently consuming, let's say the calculations tell you that you need to consume 120 grams of protein. If you're currently consuming, let's say around 50 grams of protein, right? You should never jump to 120. Your body never likes abrupt changes, even if it's increasing or decreasing. Your body doesn't like abrupt changes. If you're consuming around 60 grams right now, the next, the next number to target maybe would be around 80, 90 grams, or 70, 80 grams, and slowly reach the final target. Take a couple of weeks, take 3 to 4 weeks for your body to adjust, because abrupt increase of protein or abrupt increase of fiber as well might lead to some digestive issues. And the last thing we want is for someone to give up when they've just started. So make sure you're taking care of these pointers as well. Okay, I'll open the chat box now. Couldn't understand fourth point, low requirement of protein thing. Okay. Okay, Vivek, this was mentioned in the previous slide as well. Basically, the meaning is कि when you're trying to gain muscles, no, uh, what people think is that while you're on a gaining phase, while you're trying to put on more weight or more muscles, you need more protein. That is not the case, because when you're already eating more, no, the chances of muscle loss are very less. Your body is already in a very happy state. It won't let go of your muscles until and unless you're training well, you're doing good amount of workout, and you're eating good amount of calories. Your body won't want to lose your muscle. But in a deficit state, when you're trying to lose body weight or lose body fat, that is when the protein requirements actually increase, because some of the proteins might end up being used for energy as well, because you're dividing your body of certain amount of calories, right? Your body doesn't really the body doesn't like weight loss, so it becomes a bit tricky there. Some of the protein might end up being consumed as a source of energy indirectly. So that is why protein requirements more essential in the cutting phase as compared to in the gaining phase itself. Okay, Vinay, is it mandatory? Okay. Is it mandatory to include macro plus micro in all our daily meals depending on our diet plan? So whenever we design a diet plan, no, it becomes very, very difficult to measure the amount of micronutrients. At least I have not come across any free app as such which gives you the micronutrient profile as well. So I personally use Healthify Me, which is the app to track calories. Usme bhi there is a paid version. They ask you to subscribe it for a year or so if you want the micronutrient profile. So to be very honest, it's very difficult to track your micronutrients. But at the end of the day, we also know that what are the foods which are rich in micronutrients. So including a good amount of veggies, including a good amount of fruits in your diet. Again, being conscious of the calories first. Including veggies, including fruits, including poultry. If you can eat eggs and chicken, that is a great thing, because eggs are full of vitamins and minerals. Then including some nuts and seeds if possible. If everything won't be possible, to be very honest, right? You won't be able to include eggs as well, nuts as well, because ultimately you end up eating a lot. So try to include some things out of these. This will kind of make sure that you're able to meet your micronutrient profiles as well. Yes, Vinay. Dry fruits, yes, dry fruits. But please be conscious that dry fruits are very, very calorie dense. They have a lot of calories. They are healthy as such because they are nutrient rich, but they are calorie dense as well. Just be mindful. Again, it comes to energy balance. If you have understood energy balance, you'll understand everything else very easily. Ankur, when you say 25 to 30 grams of fiber, how do I calculate my daily diet? I mean, no, 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 no. This will vary on the food source. So, for example, 100 gram of veggies might have fiber between 3 to 5 to 7 grams. It'll depend upon the kind of veggie as well. You can use any app like Healthify Me, or you can use Fitter app as well, where you can track your fiber requirement too. Or just Google the see if you have designed a diet for yourself. Just Google the amount of food you are consuming. The very first page that comes on the website, right? That will tell you the amount of fiber as well. And again, just be mindful that you're consuming enough fiber, that you're not feeling bloated, that you're not feeling constipated, right? Just be aware of these things, and you'll understand if a fiber requirement is being met or not. Okay. 6 liters of water, I think, is good for anyone. Water requirements really vary from person to person, right? 6 liters may not be required by everyone. Okay. 6 liters might be a lot for people. It depends a lot of factors like the climate you're living in. For example, currently it's winter in North India, right? Even thinking about 6 liters of water will, even thinking about it is very difficult for me right now. So nowadays I try to hit like 4 to 4.5 liters. 6 liters is good enough. There is no harm of drinking 6 liters water. Even though there are certain articles that claim someone died having 6 liters water, that is never the case. The story is always something else. But don't just gulp the huge amounts of water in one go. Just have water sip by sip. That's not an issue. Any other question, guys? Or should we move on? Okay. Someone said yes, please. I know I'm taking a lot of time. Sorry. Okay, I'm closing the chat box now. All right. Okay, I'll try to cover this section at once, okay, and then we'll have questions towards the end. I want to be a bit mindful of your time as well, right? Uh, so when it comes to selecting a particular physical activity, or selecting an exercise, Ideally, what the Center of Disease Control and Prevention recommends is a minimum of 150 minutes of per week of moderate intensity exercise is recommended. But again, if currently you are having a very sedentary lifestyle, you're not working out at all, even hitting this mark is difficult. So start slowly, right? Try to do maybe 15-20 minutes exercise every day, or do 30 minutes exercise every alternate day. Start very slow. You don't need to do everything at once, but this is a general recommendation, but it varies a lot between different individuals based on their goal, right? Because like for example, for someone like me, this is the amount of time I spend in let's say 1.5 days, so it'll vary a lot from person to person. Okay, there are three principles that we need to keep in mind when we are selecting a physical activity, right? The very first principle, there's a reason I've kept this at the first point, is because this is very important. Any exercise you select, right, you should be able to enjoy that exercise. That being said, going to the gym or doing weight training or doing resistance training is a preferred mode of exercise. But even after that, if you're forcing someone to go to the gym, every day to do the workouts that they don't actually love, they'll end up giving up. Maybe not in a week or two, maybe in a month, they'll give up. They'll be like, I'm not liking this, what I'm doing, right? I cannot continue this. This is very difficult. So whenever you choose a physical activity, right, make sure you're enjoying it. It might take some time as well for you to adjust and start enjoying that activity, but this is one principle you should definitely keep in mind when you select an activity. It should be safe. The reason we include this safety term as well, because CrossFit is also becoming a lot very popular nowadays. I'm not saying CrossFit is bad. CrossFit is amazing, but CrossFit is injury prone as well, right? It's not for everyone. Calisthenics, CrossFit is not for everyone, especially if someone is on the higher side of the weighing scale. I would not recommend joining CrossFit right now. Start slowly, start low impact exercises. If you're really interested into it, first gain those strength levels, and then you can start with CrossFit and everything. But I won't recommend starting off with CrossFit, just because it looks very fancy. Nothing against CrossFit. I'm not getting paid by the anti-CrossFit guys to tell you this, but it's not a very safe mode of exercise to choose. This specificity, see, not everyone has the same goal, right? Someone might actually want to train to become an on-stage athlete, right? They might want to compete in the future. So your goals, your specificity comes into picture. You want to train specific to your goals. If someone wants to become a power lifter in the future, you cannot expect that person to go out for a jog or go out for a run. That is not the kind of training they want to do. Okay, so select an activity that is very specific to your goals. For example, if my goal is a very good physique, I'll be training accordingly for it, right? If your goal is just general fitness, you want to increase your stamina, you might want to include some amount of running in your exercise regime as well. Okay, I think there is one question. If one is an intermediate lifter and if there's a gap of 1 month, okay, now to restart, is it okay to start the pull push routine? It's completely fine. Anna, you can continue with the older routine. Just don't jump back to the same intensity right now. Okay, just wait for a week or two. Just check your strength levels. If let's say if before 1 month you're lifting 100 kgs, don't start with 100 again, right? Because your body has been in a dormant state for some amount of time. Start lower, maybe start with 60, 70. Check your strength levels, and then you can follow the same routine. The split doesn't really matter. It's completely fine. You'll follow the same split if you like that. Okay. One more question. Thanks. Okay. Thank you, Anna. All right. So now, since I am closer to resistance training, I have studied a lot about resistance training, about working out in the gym, or using weight and equipment for exercising. I can give you certain tips and examples of how to train, design a training plan if you're working out in the gym or at home with a pair of dumbbells. So this page is dedicated to that particular type of training only. I'm not a runner, so I cannot really guide you how to run or how much to run. You might want to check with a runner for that. I have more knowledge in this field, so I'll try to provide knowledge in this particular field only. So there are certain elements that we need to take care of when we design a training plan, right? uh, First of all, just understand the different muscle groups we have. Let's not even focus on the names in the brackets. That's completely fine, because many of us are beginners here. So we have different kinds of muscles. We have the back muscles, we have the legs muscles, the front part of legs, the back part of legs, right? We have the chest muscles, right? We have the shoulder muscles, we have biceps, we have triceps, and we have the core area, right? Remember, core is just not the abdominal part. Even the lower part of the back also comes under core. So the entire, the entire circle around your belly area is the core area basically. It's not just the front part. Everything is a part of the core. Okay. So whenever you're making a plan, no, follow these particular, or keep in mind these particular pointers, and that will be good enough to start your journey, right? Make sure that whenever you're designing any workout plan, you're trying to hit all muscle groups more than once a week. Okay, so try to hit them at least twice a week. Don't follow splits like आज bicep mara, kal tricep mara, परसों abs mara. Don't follow that split. Okay, it has been proven that hitting the same muscle group after a certain amount of time is more beneficial than waiting for the entire week, because your muscles don't need an entire week to recover. Agar if as today I have I have done my workout, I have done my back workout, I wouldn't want to wait another week to hit my back again, because my back will recover in the next 2 to 3 days. So it's always recommended that you hit your muscle groups at least multiple times a week, at least twice. But again, if you don't enjoy that, then it's completely fine. You can follow whatever you want. uh, Whenever you're working out, again, please, these are general recommendations. If you're an intermediate or an advanced lifter, this might change. But if someone is a beginner, right, these principles still hold true. Try hitting bigger muscle groups and more technical movements. So when we say bigger muscle groups, right, just by seeing yourself in the mirror, you'll be able to figure out which muscle group is bigger. For example, let's say I'm doing legs and shoulders on one particular day. So now my legs are much bigger, right, as compared to my shoulder. Shoulder is just this, like these three muscles, very small three muscles, right? So whenever you're training, make sure that you are working out your bigger muscle groups first, because those require more energy, those are more intense, and at the same time make sure you're doing more technical movements first. So all the compound movements, all the difficult movements like squats, deadlifts, bench press and everything, these are more technical movements. You start with technical movements because you don't want to be tired when you're starting technical movements. Okay, so start with bigger movements first, and then all the easier exercises or less technical exercises, you can move towards them in the later part of the workout plan. Okay, if you're a beginner, if you're just here, you're just starting the gym, try to master the form and technique before you increase the weight or load, right? Everyone starts from day zero, right? You don't need to get intimidated by what others are doing in the gym. The first few months, I would say, even if it takes 3 to 6 months, that's completely fine. Just focus on lifting with the right form and technique. Don't focus on increasing weights just because other people are lifting more. You'll get there eventually, but this is your day one. Everyone had their day one before. Don't injure yourself just trying to lift more weights in the gym. That day will come as well. Okay, when you're starting, you can start with very basic movements, right? You can start with body weight movements, or you can start with very light pair of dumbbells, or you can start with easier, if you're going to the gym, you can start with machines as well, which are easier to operate, easier to handle. uh, I personally recommend the 5 basic movements that you should learn. These are movements, there can be multiple exercises for these movements, right? One is squats, second is your deadlifts and hip hinges. Now people get very scared when someone says deadlifts, right? Don't be scared of deadlifts, right? You'll get injured in a deadlift only if you're lifting a huge amount of weight with a very poor form. If you're doing it right, if you're starting very slow, you're learning the form and technique, you're starting with relatively like lighter weights, you don't need to worry about deadlift. I think deadlift has earned a lot of bad reputation in the industry, that it is the most injury prone. It is not. It is a fantastic movement. It works like multiple muscle groups in your body. Don't be scared of it. Learn it and implement it. Then there are rows. There are rowing machines in the gym. There are cable rows. You can do it with dumbbells. You can do it with barbells. That is one type of movement you should learn. Overhead press, basically shoulder presses, we call them, shoulder presses as well. You can do it on a machine with dumbbells, with empty bars. And then the last movement is a chest press or a push-up. I generally don't recommend to start with push-ups, because if someone is overweight, right, push-up is actually a lot more difficult than doing a chest press with lighter pair of dumbbells. So push-ups is not for everyone to start with. Push-up is a difficult movement. You can start with wall push-ups, then you can start with incline push-ups, then you can go to knee push-ups, then you start with normal body weight push-ups. But it's not essential to start with push-ups, right? I've seen a lot of people who go to the gym and they do like 50 push-ups first and then they do the training. By the time they start the training, they're already tired. So there's no point of doing that. Okay. Focus on getting stronger every day, like stronger than yourself. You're not competing with anyone else. I'll repeat the same point again, right? You're just improving from what you were yesterday. You're getting better day by day, but do not compare yourself with anyone else. Everyone starts from day one. Okay. The last thing you need to keep in mind is it's technically called progressive overload. Uh, in simple terms, it basically means that you slowly improve over time. If today, let's say you were doing a certain exercise, if today you were able to hit 10 reps of that exercise, try to make a habit of improving every week or every other week. You won't be able to improve every week. Your strength levels don't improve drastically. It might for some, it might not for other people, but try to improve slowly. Now, this progressive overload can be by any of the following means. You can increase the number of repetitions you were doing. You can increase the number of sets you were doing. You can increase the load you were lifting. Okay, just see what is more comfortable for you. Not everyone might be, able to lift more load. They might be a bit scared in doing that. So it's not absolutely necessary. It is good if you could do that because the more load you lift, the more strength you will gain. But there are different ways you can progressively overload. It simply means you're getting better at the exercise with time. Okay, any questions? See, a couple of people left. Maybe it was beyond 8, that's why. Sorry guys if I'm taking more time, but I hope you are learning something at least. Okay, a person running regularly must increase carbohydrate consumption. Vivek, for a person who's running regularly, I would prefer keeping fats at the bare minimum and, use all the rest of the calories from carbohydrates only, because running is an energy intrinsic sport, right? It requires a lot of energy. And if you're not feeding enough carbohydrates to your body will not really like it. So basically give your body carbohydrates, especially if you're running, if you're not running empty stomach, you can have some complex carbohydrates or some simple carbs before you're starting to run. That will be a better approach as compared to having more fats there, because you need energy to run. You don't want your body to struggle with extracting energy from other sources, because carbs is the preferred source of energy for your body. I love this slide. Thank you, Nunay. Which muscles fall into small muscle category? So your muscles like calves, biceps, triceps, uh, even shoulder are smaller muscle. Because shoulder is a very small muscle group. I know people lift a lot of weight because it is required in certain sports, in certain bodybuilding sports, sorry, in certain weightlifting sports. Shoulder strength is required. That's why people lift a lot in shoulders. But honestly, shoulder is a smaller muscle group. You can consider it as a small muscle group and train it accordingly. I usually add exercise of biceps 2 days in a row, same with triceps and shoulders. I would not recommend that, Vinay. Like, even though bicep is a smaller, so guys, remember this thing: the smaller the muscle group, the less time it will need to recover. But that doesn't mean you should be hitting it every day. So basically, if you're hitting, like if you're working out on your biceps today, right? I would recommend that doing that again tomorrow, because it still requires around 48 hours or 24 to 48 hours for them to recover. The session you're doing tomorrow won't be as effective as today, because your biceps might already be sore, or just because you know that you have to do biceps tomorrow again, you'll not like work out in your full potential today. Not a very good approach. I'll still prefer do it 3 times a week, but give a gap of at least 1 day, let it recover, and then do it again. Vinay, like minimum is I try to target at least twice a week. So if you're doing it Monday, repeat the same on Thursday, or you can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. Up to you. But don't do it biceps or today and then next Monday again. Biceps are very small muscle groups. You don't need to do so much of work in a single day. Rather distribute that work throughout the week. Okay. Anna, supplements was not a part of the discussion, but anyhow, see, supplement, please understand the term supplement. Supplement is basically nothing, but if you're not able to consume anything from your normal food, you can take supplements. Supplements are not needed at all. For example, I am at home currently. I'm not able to complete my protein intake from normal food. That's why I have whey protein. I am a caffeine addict, so I have pre-workout as well. I'm not proud of it, but like not of the pre-workout, but of the fact that I'm a caffeine addict. Thirdly, I also include omega 3s in my diet because I don't eat fish at home. I don't eat oily fish, right? So I'm not getting enough essential fatty acids. But again, if you're someone who is starting the journey, don't even bother about supplements. Just focus on the basics for now. Okay. How to increase the intensity of the workout, how to progress with limited set of weights available. Uh, Shelly, increase the reps. I know that can become very boring. I would say increase the sets. If even if even that is becoming very difficult, decrease the rest time. And fourthly, maybe try like more difficult versions of the exercise. For example, if you're working out at home, right? Let's say you're doing push-ups today. Do weighted push-ups. Do feet up push-ups. Just change the type of exercise, just make it a bit more intense. That is how you progressively overload. So overload it not just weight, not just reps. Even if your form is improving, your type of exercise is improving, that is also progressive overload. Okay, I hope that was clear. Shelly, please confirm. All right, thank you. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, this is the most interesting slide, and thank you everyone who stayed back even beyond 8 p.m. I had given a warning in the start of the session that this will get extended. So thank you so much for staying back. There's another question. Okay, sorry guys. From 1 month, I'm completely focusing on body weight training and not lifting weights. Is that okay? Yes, Amrin. See, exercise has tons of benefits, right? Exercise has tons of benefits. Fat loss is not one of the top benefits of exercise. Fat loss is dictated by your energy balance that we discussed in so many slides. If energy balance is on point, you don't need to worry about fat loss. Focus on getting stronger with exercise. Think of exercise as a tool to become stronger, to become more efficient in your daily activities. That is how you'll start, planning it much better in your daily routine as well. Okay. Okay, now let's bust some very common myths in the fitness industry. I'm sure many of you, even if you've not started your journey so far, you might have heard a lot of people, a lot of influencers saying these things. Let me tell you, whatever is written on this particular slide is absolutely bullshit. Sorry for the poor choice of words, but this is not at all true. And even I have done a lot of these things, but sadly, this is not true. Research has proven these things. First thing, people say that cardio is necessary for fat loss. Not at all. We discussed in detail about energy balance. As long as you are maintaining energy balance, you're doing good amount of workout to you're getting stronger in the gym or in your daily routine, and you're meeting your calorie requirements, right? You do not actually essentially need cardio. You can add it if you like it, but if for example, for someone like me, I absolutely dread cardio. I hate cardio. I'm not saying that cardio is bad. It's tons of benefits. It is very good for your cardiovascular health, but it's not a necessary tool, right? You can use it if you want to burn some extra calories, or if you absolutely love running or love cycling. Definitely include it. It's not essential at all. Okay. Another thing that that maybe not everyone can relate, but we have heard a lot of people saying that you need to confuse your muscle to grow, which basically means that need to keep on changing your exercise routine every other month or so. That is completely false, right? Once you set a routine, like spend at least 12 to 16 weeks on that routine. Okay, because when you start working out, or when you start any exercise regime, right, it takes your body at least 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to adjust to that, to kind of try to learn the form. Once you learn the form, you just need to focus on progressive overloading. Just you need to focus on getting better in those exercises, lifting more weights, lifting more reps, more sets. And you do not need to change anything. You do not need to change your workout regime. Follow that for 3 to 4 months. It's absolutely fine. I've seen so many, fit people in the industry who follow the same routine throughout the year. They make very minor changes. So at least for 3 to 4 months, you don't need to worry about changing the exercise regime. Okay. We also, heard this that you need to do higher reps for cutting. You need to do lower reps for if you're trying to gain weight. Okay, none of this is true. The kind of exercise you're doing in the gym will never change, right? The kind of exercise will remain the same, irrespective of if you are trying to lose weight or if you're trying to gain weight. Because as we discussed, the aim of exercise is basically to make sure you're getting stronger. You're retaining your muscle mass, you're gaining muscle mass. And that can happen with higher reps as well, that can happen with lower reps as well. You don't need to change the training style. Amount of workout can change. I'm not getting into details right now. The amount of workout will change. It will be more when you're trying to put on muscles. It will be lesser when you're trying to lose fat. But you don't really need to manipulate the rep ranges of the kind of workouts you're doing. Okay. Fourth is spot reduction. This might disappoint a lot of people out of you. That we have seen a lot of people doing crunches to lose belly fat. We do side bends to lose the side fat. That is not true. Unfortunately, there is not enough research that has proven that you can reduce fat from a particular area, right? We have seen so many people, doing crunches every day, saying that this will help me lose my belly fat. Sorry, that will not happen. You lose fat, you lose overall body fat. Everyone has a tendency to store fat in different areas. Someone may store more fat in the chest area. Someone may store more fat in the thighs or abdomen area. So it's the overall body fat that you lose continuously. You cannot target a particular spot for losing fat. So don't fall in these gimmicks, right? Just please don't. I know there are some people even who have joined this session as well. I have seen their videos, I've seen their captions. I'm not pointing you out, but please, please try to educate yourselves and understand that this is not a possibility. You still have to be in a caloric deficit. You have to eat less than your maintenance. You have to focus on overall body fat. Okay. Honey and lemon water burns fat. Absolutely bullshit again. Nothing like that happens. Lemon water just makes sure you're getting hydrated in the morning. It makes sure your pH levels are getting regulated. It's no magic. Honey is again a kind of simple sugar. Honey also has calories similar to it has calories similar to sugar. So no, it doesn't help you burn fat. You cannot melt fat in your body. That is absolutely false. You cannot eat anything to burn fat as such. Nothing of such sort exists, sadly, in the fitness industry right now. So don't fall for this. uh, uh, Weight training, I had to write stunts here. So weight training stunts height growth in teenagers. If someone who's in his teens, right, we have seen a lot of parents saying please weights mat lift karo, तुम्हारा height नहीं बढ़ेगा. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. There's nothing like that. Height is majorly driven by your genetics. If you're lifting weights, you might actually get stronger. You might actually get bigger. You might actually start functioning better. So it's completely fine. Don't really worry about all these things. I know none of us are teenagers, but if you want to advise someone, don't stop them from exercising if they want to. Okay. Weight training makes you look bulky. No. Bulky basically means that you're gaining a lot of fat. You're putting on a lot of weight. Weight training doesn't make you look bulky. At the end of the day, if you're eating more than what you need to eat, that is what will make you look bulky, not weight training. Weight training will help you actually give that lean look, where it will give you more muscle mass, right? It won't make you bulky as such. So don't worry about that. uh, Whey protein is not natural. I've heard a lot of people saying, "यार ये तो powder है, this is artificial, ये हम नहीं ले सकते." See, understand that if whey protein is artificial, if whey protein is not natural, so is Horlicks, so is all these sports drink, so is these energy drinks or these Gatorades and everything. I would say so is wheat and rice. Everything is coming in a processed version to us, right? Something is lesser processed. All the flours that we eat, right? Those are processed. Everything is coming in a processed version. Similar is with whey protein. There is a raw product called milk, which we consume in our daily lives. It is just a processed version of milk. Yes, there are certain sweeteners included just to enhance the taste and everything, but that doesn't make it unnatural. That doesn't make it a steroid. That doesn't make it like people call it like the powder hai to alag cheez hai. Nothing like that. It's just a protein source that you use if you're not able to complete your protein requirements to your daily diet. Just think of it like that. There's no magic in whey protein. You don't even need it in your diet, if you're consuming enough protein. But please don't fall for this, that whey protein is not natural. That is absolutely untrue. If whey protein is not natural, then any food that is coming in a packaged form is not natural. Okay. Again, carbs at night make you gain weight. We discussed this earlier as well. Nothing wrong will happen if you're eating carbs at night. You might actually get better quality of sleep. And for someone who is working out early in the morning, for someone like me who likes to work out first thing in the morning, I actually need carbs at night, so that in the morning I'm not feeling very low on energy. Okay, so it all depends, and you do not really need to worry a lot about nutrient timing. Focus on the overall calories. Focus on the overall nutrition that you're taking in, and like, stop focusing on these very minute things like timing of nutrition, everything, because This is absolutely not required for general fitness. Okay. All right. I'll see questions now. One second. From 1 month I completed for the online. Okay. How how often how often functional training HIIT should be included in a week? And it's not important to include HIIT. If you like it, you can include. No worries at all. If you love doing HIIT, because it can be, it's a very energetic form of exercise which we do. If you like HIIT, definitely include it. If you don't like it, there's no absolute need. At the end of the day, your focus is on getting stronger, getting better at your daily routine, and just include any form of exercise that you like. If we get stuck on weight, if we have reached the optimal weight as per our height, no, 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 no. No, Sherry, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No, I'm not sure what else to say, but ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. There's nothing like that. You're stuck on a weight because it is the right weight for your height. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Every person has different weight goals, so not like that. You just have to follow caloric deficit. You'll get there eventually. Okay. Uh, all right. And any other question, guys? This is the last couple of slides only. I'll just quickly wrap it up, and then we'll discuss the couple of questions that we had left earlier in the session. Any other question? Please let me know, or else I'll cover rest of it. Okay, I'll take that as a no, like there are no questions. Okay. All right. I know I took more time than what we had decided, and I told you that early in the session as well. And I know this might be a lot of information for certain people as well, right? Because especially for someone who is beginning their journey, who just wants to understand basics. But even if you're able to grasp 30-40% of it, that is good enough, right? There are some next steps that I would really recommend you doing. Okay, write down your health and fitness goals. Try to make your own diet and activity plan, right? There is there is a app called Fitter app. There is a Facebook group as well. It's a community. It has around 600,000 members right now, where you can ask any of your questions. It's a free of cost community where people try to help each other with the knowledge that they have. Once you create those plans, if you want, you can post it in the app, or you can post it in the Facebook page as well. I have added links here. I added the Fitter FB group link. I've added the INFS website link as well. Because like, see, I won't be able to answer specific questions for 20-30 people. So it will be great if you can use these platforms as well. But at the end of the day, I'll be more than happy to help you, definitely. So feel free to reach out to me as well. You can join the FB group if you want. If you need, if you want more motivation, you want some support, you want to get your questions answered, feel free to join that if you're not already joined, because I know there are some people who are not from the Fitter community itself. If you want to learn more, if you are kind of interested in what you were being taught today, and if you just want to know more to implement it on yourself as well, there's an INFS basic course which they have recently launched, which is absolutely free of cost. You don't have to pay anything. Again, as I said, we're not selling anything. Yes, this is again free of cost. If you want to, you can enroll in this course. I have mentioned all the details in the appendix slide. I'll be sharing by tomorrow. So if you want, you can follow those steps and enroll in the course as well. These are all the steps. How can you enroll? I'll be sharing these. And apart from that, if you have any questions whatsoever, we'll be discussing a couple right now as well. But I'm assuming that you know me from somewhere, maybe from some WhatsApp group, maybe from Facebook, maybe from Instagram. So please feel free to reach out. I also keep on sharing, regular content on my Instagram and Facebook as well. If you want, you can follow that. I try to put, a video or post every day or every other day. So if you want to understand more, you want to understand, understand basics in a better way. Currently, I'm also focusing on basics in my post as well. I'm trying to focus on the very essential part of things. If you want, you can give it a shot. You can try to see those videos and those posts if that help you. Okay, that was about it from my end. And if now you have any questions, even the specific ones, I'm more than happy to answer them. And I hope you learned something. I'm sorry if it became a bit boring or if it became too informative, but I hope it was worth your time. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Varraj. I'm so glad you joined. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Amrit. Uh, thank you, Shelly. Thank you, Shita. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Mrunmay. I hope you learned. I know you already have been working out for so many years. I hope there was at least some new information for you. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you. Yes, Nikita, I'll answer it. Ishan. Oh my God, I didn't expect you to join. Thank you, Ishan. Thanks, Mrunmay. All right. I think there were a couple of questions. I think there was one question from Mrunmay. Right. Let me answer Nikita's question first. Nikita asking that how to stay motivated for doing exercise daily. Nikita, make it a habit. You won't always be motivated. Even I am not motivated every day, right? There will be days when you feel like shit, when you feel like यार क्यों ही कर रहे हैं हम ये सब क्या मिल रहा है इस सब से. But just remember why you started. There was a reason you started, right? Just remember that particular reason. And at the end of the day, this is something. See, at the end of the day, this is something you have to do, right? If you want to focus on your goals, if you want to, make those changes in your lifestyle, this is something you have to do. You just have to make it a part of your habit. You have to make it a part of your lifestyle. I know it's very easy to say, but trust me, there are very few people in the entire world who like remain motivated throughout the year. It's not easy. Doesn't happen with everyone. Even the greatest of coaches feel demotivated. But at the end of the day, it comes down to how bad you want it, right? How badly you want it. If you're actually willing to do it, you'll get up anyhow, right? So that's all I had to say. I hope that was helpful. I know it's very easy to say, but I hope that was of some help. Okay. Mruna, you had a question, right? Can you please type that question again? I kind of forgot that. And thank you everyone for joining. If you want to listen to the rest of the questions, please feel free to stay. If you want to drop out because it's okay, it's 8:30. I think from my standards that is completely fine. I just extended it by half an hour, so that's fine. Not bad from my standards, but sorry if I kept you on for long. Okay, Brunma is asking if one is and guys, sorry if before I answer the questions, if you want to share any feedback over email or over WhatsApp, over FB, over Instagram, please share that. Even I want to understand, what went right, what can I change in the future sessions. Even I'm trying to learn, so if you can share that feedback. And someone dropped off while I was saying this, so if you can, please do that. Thank you so much for joining. Those who want to stay back for the questions, I'm answering those questions right now. If you don't want to stay, that's completely fine. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope I'll be taking more sessions in the future as well. So stay tuned. Thank you guys. Okay, Pranay, if one is very active and only want to lose stubborn torso fat. Okay, Pranay, first thing, that for now at least, agree on the consensus that you cannot lose fat from a particular area. Okay, so when it comes to stubborn fat, now, so what I'm assuming from your question is that you have lost most of the fat you wanted. There's only some amount of fat that is left, that too in specific areas. That happens with many people. Every person has a different tendency to store that last pounds of fat in your body, and it gets difficult as you lose body weight. It gets more and more difficult to lose more weight because your body is trying to fight against that weight change as well. uh, One thing is, see, this might not be possible for you because I know you're not a beginner. You have been working out for a very long time. It is possible for someone who is starting it, basically where you just eat near your maintenance. It's called a recomposition. That honestly, that might not be possible for you because it's not a phenomena that happens in intermediate lifters, right? I would just say go on a deficit again. Try to eat, a bit less than your maintenance, right? It might be very irritating to lose that last shed of fat. You might have to go a bit lower on calories as well if you want to. If that is your fitness goal, that might not be a very healthy choice. But at the same time, if that is your fitness goal, you actually want to lose that last layer of fat, you might have to drop your calories even around just your BMR. If your BMR is 1200, I might have to eat that amount of calories for a like short period of time. I would not recommend that for general health purposes, but I have known you, I have seen you lift. I know you have certain fitness standards you want to achieve, so I can recommend that for you for sure. I hope that answers your questions. Thank you very much. All right. I think there was one more question which I skipped. I'm not even sure which question was that. Can anyone please remind me if you are still on? Yes, Nikita. Was it FTP from INFS? Nikita, sorry, I didn't understand your question. Can you please elaborate a bit? You can unmute yourself now. It's completely fine. There's 11 participants, so.
Hi, Ankur. So, was that FTP from INSS which you're talking about the basic course?
No, so FTP is something else. FTP is it's a client training program. So the basic course I am saying it is launched by INFS. It's a free of cost course which covers all the basics of nutrition and fitness. So FTP is a different thing. FTP is a practical aspect of the certifications that we get.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Does the intake of calories differ in case of PCOS and PCOD? Yes. So, see, what happens is this is a very specific question, and if you do not have any medical conditions, you do not really need to bother about knowing this right now. But so whoever asked this question, I hope that person is still here on the call. Can you please confirm? Because I'm not remembering who that was. Can you please confirm? Like who had asked this question on PCOS and PCOD? I am more than willing to explain, but I want to make sure that the person is there on the call. I don't think that is the case. Okay. Yeah. So okay. If anyone else has PCOS or PCOD problem, please let me know. I can answer this. But if no, I wouldn't complicate you right now because this is the very first session, right? I mean, there's no need to get into complications right now. There are certain medical conditions that can hamper your progress, but thank you very much. No worry at all. Arna, I have maybe a silly, no, there's no silly question, Arna. Please ask. Since the time I've started eating clean, now I'm not able to eat anything which is oily, or if I eat it, it may functional marriage. When I was eating mindlessly, almost everything. See, Arna, so what my hypothesis here is, right? Again, what happened was drastic changes, right? You went from complete unhealthy eating to complete clean eating, right? Now your body has gotten used to that healthy eating, right? This is something I generally I generally do not recommend people to cut off complete food groups from your diet. I never recommend that because see, at the end of the day every food group has some kind of benefit. I'm not saying oily foods have benefits or something. So now my hypothesis here is that your body is now has become habitual of the new types of foods you're eating. Even ideally I know that you cannot eat clean foods throughout your life. That is not possible. If you want to introduce some things that you really miss, that really want to include in your diet, include them slowly. Don't do that abruptly. Your body has changed. Now you need to accept that fact. uh, if you have lost a good amount of weight as well, so your body's energy needs have changed as well. So respect that change. If you want to add certain things, add them very very slowly. Don't do it abruptly. Otherwise, again, as you already mentioned, it can upset your digestive system. And honestly, fitness is still a very unresearched field, right? Like there's a lot of research still pending in this field, and understanding the relation between the food you're intaking and how is it like bothering your digestive system, your gut. There's a lot of research pending there as well. If I find something, I'll definitely let you know. But for now, I'll just recommend you to take it slow. If you want to include something, include it very very slowly in your diet. Okay. I hope that made some sense at least, Arna. Sorry if it didn't. All right. Any other question, guys? And thank you so much to all the 8 people who stayed back till the end of the call. Okay. All right, guys, and I'll take I'll take a leave then. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Right. If you think this was useful for you, If you think this might benefit someone else as well, please let me know. Please let them know. I'll plan to have another session tomorrow if possible. Because it took like 1.5 hours, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that tomorrow as well. I definitely try if people are still willing. But if you think someone else can benefit from it, please feel free to forward it to them or let them know that such sessions are happening. All right. Thank you so much, guys. It was nice catching up with some of with some of you. I had not gotten a chance to catch up with you for such a long time, but maybe this was a good time. Not decided, Shweta. Maybe this like similar time only, somewhere around 7 p.m. I'm a bit busy in the morning, so somewhere around 7 p.m. only. Thank you. All right, guys, please feel free to drop off. I'll be the last one to drop off. I'll just wait for everyone. Thank you.